I mean, wherever people are watching, wherever people are going, people still inside this stadium, that incident will be talked about over and over and over again. So now in the cold light of day, away from the Arsenal bench and the West Ham fans, are we all happy we've reached the right conclusion? Is that the right decision?
Do you know, the one thing I would say is I want to see players decide football matches, especially when it's a tighter race, especially when it's relegation. VAR has been brought in for big moments. There's never been a bigger moment in Premier League history for VAR. I mean, quite incredible, really. If you're Arsenal, you know you want it. If you're West Ham, you feel aggrieved. I mean, I think there's so many angles of it there. You see probably the arm on David Raya.
So you're happy with the decision?
Well, initially it wasn't given, was it?
No, you're happy with the VAR decision?
Well, he's got hold of his shirt. I mean, look, he can't actually do his job, David Raya, in there. He's got his shirt pulled. He's holding onto his arm. I know he could probably jump and maybe claim it a bit stronger. I can understand why they didn't give it. I want to see players, but we have VAR for that moment. And I think ultimately, even though they looked at it far too long, in my opinion, they should look at it way quicker. I think they made the right call.
Yeah, over 4 minutes this took, but ultimately, David Raya is being impeded, in your view?
Yeah, look, you can clearly see his shirt is pulled, and what's interesting as well, it's the reaction of the players, because even the Arsenal players in itself actually weren't appealing at this moment in time. However, when you do slow it down, there's a clear and obvious pull on the shirt. You can see it here. But it's just disappointing how long it takes, and that's the side of the VAR, which is really frustrating for everyone watching because you're not quite sure what's going on. But you can clearly see there his shirt's been pulled. It's inhibited his.
So Todibo on the shirt and Pablo on the arm.
Pablo on the arm as well. So it's a really difficult one when it's sped up. However, everything's slowed down. This is why VAR comes in. But however, we don't want to be talking about VAR. We want to talk about moments like Owen was saying. But look, I think they come to the right decision in the end, but it should not take that long.
I genuinely think if we went back on all Arsenal's goals this year, the way they are and how aggressive they are with blocks and pulling shit and pulling people in and around places, you will be able to find that they've done this to a keeper, to a player.
Kev, you're 100% right.
You know,
that's why it's almost ironic.
So frustrating.
Yeah,
this is why it's so frustrating.
So you think it's right on the day, but inconsistent in the season?
Just inconsistent over the season, and that's why I don't like VAR. I said me and Theo were talking as soon as it happened, and I was like, if you're waiting this long again, 4 minutes, and you're looking at it 10, 12 times, you're looking for something. For me, if it's a clear and obvious area, then fair enough. But at this moment in time, I'm not seeing that as a clear and obvious error by the ref. I think it's just a melee of players coming together. You see Declan Rice just behind him, got hold of his player who he's marking. You know, he's got hold of him, actually hold of him. So, you know, where do we go with all this? I actually don't know now. I think it's so difficult to actually see it with VAR the way it is and the way it acts. And yeah, I think if it was the other way around, I'm telling you now, all the Arsenal fans will be saying it's not a penalty. It's not a goal.
Do you know one thing I would say? I noticed even coaching my son's team on the weekend. Yeah. Now we see loads of people crowding the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of everybody just crowding the goalkeeper all the time. You know, and I think it's become a thing this season where we've seen everybody just crowding the goalkeeper and he can't really do his job. And I think really we want people to be able to do their job. I don't know if you can create a rule where, you know, there's a little bit more space or something, but we are getting to a point where there's 10 bodies in the space of 5 yards, and you're just going to keep getting these moments all the time.
They'll feel aggrieved with that, West Ham, but you know, it probably is the right decision when we look back at it. But what I'm saying, it's just been too inconsistent all the way through the season with the pole, the little tugs, the little blocks, everything else. So the sort of, you know, giving themselves something more to everybody to have a go at them for, which, you know, it's frustrating for them. And as I said, if it was the other way around today and West Ham were 1-0 up and then they scored, they'd feel aggrieved, I think, Arsenal. So yeah, unfortunate for West Ham today because they've come on the wrong end of it.
And of course, it's such a big decision. Manchester City will feel equally as aggrieved as West Ham watching that.
Oh, if you're a player and you're at home, you're throwing stuff at the telly. Honestly, you're going absolutely mad. I mean, it actually felt like a Hollywood film, kind of the ups and downs and the ending. Obviously, I thought West Ham were brilliant today. You know, they really were. They probably deserve something from the game. Credit, I mean, Mikel, forget about even, obviously, Zubamendi came on, then he came off. You know, so many things, and Kai Havertz came on, Ødegaard came on, and that had a big impact on the game. But Arsenal needed to get the job done. Somehow they find a way to do it, but I do feel sorry for West Ham because I thought they put in a brilliant shift.
Okay, well, let's just say this will get talked about, and Kev says West Ham will feel aggrieved. Let's hear from their captain. Here he is, Jarrod Bowen.
Well, Jarrod, let's start with the equaliser that wasn't. Do you feel incredibly hard done by?
I'd like to see, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you could go about this, answering this question. Is because we're on the receiving end of it, we're going to feel more hard done by. But, you know, football is a sport that brings, you know, enjoyment, fans together, and gives people big moments. We had our big moment then. We thought we got back into the game. Look at something for 5 minutes. Trying to find something which, I get, goalkeepers are protected more than outfield players. There's lots of, you know, holding and grappling that goes on in the box. Are you going to look at those every single time and give a penalty? Because that's the only way that is the right way to do it. You've got to give. Like I said, I get that the goalkeepers, you can't go and wipe a goalkeeper out, and, you know, there's arms there, but the keeper's come in to try and grab the ball. He's got to be seen not as an outfield player, but he's got to expect contact. You know, it's a corner kick, it's physical, it's the Premier League. There's going to be contact, there's going to be, you know, tussles and what have you. Obviously, we're on the receiving end of it, so we feel more hard done by, but we had one at Brentford last week where Thomas Souček got pulled at the back post, got dragged down, didn't get a penalty. So I'm just saying as a consistency level, you know, VAR is here to stay, we know that. But I just think that the decisions, like I said, if you look at something for 5 minutes, and I'm going to sound bitter and people are going to think I sound bitter, but I think I'm just being honest, that if you look at something for long enough, you'll find something to give. And I think that was what happened in the end.
So to sum up, when it happens every week, every game, actually pretty much every corner, why now enforce it?
Well, I can guarantee you that people, the pundits, everyone that watches football know that football is a physical game and there's holding every single time. No one wants to see penalties every single week. No one wants to see fouls against every single week. You know, you want the game to be going on. That's why, like I said, that's why everyone loves football, because they love, you know, a fast action, fast paced, physical game. But if we're going to give, you know, free kicks for, like I said, goalkeepers are different because they do get, you know, a little bit of different treatment. But in the same breath, I think there's got to be a little bit of understanding with it. Well, that, you know, when there's a corner, you see how corners are these days. People want to put it on top of goalkeepers, create that confusion, create that kind of fight in the 6-yard box. So yeah, that's what I think it is. And like I said, I'm not coming here to sound bitter and blaming different things, but yeah, I think I'm just being honest about the situation, the receiving end that we've been on the receiving end of.
And maybe an irony to the fact that it's come against the team that's probably done that the most, that's almost pioneered that type of corner.
Well, yeah, they're probably the best example of being so good from set pieces, a real threat of their game. And, you know, they're physical and they want to put the ball on top of the goalkeeper. And I'm sure we could go back through every single game and see, you know, goalkeepers getting fouled and, you know, not getting decisions. So that's my point with it, is if you're going to give it for every single one that happens week in, week out.
Can I ask that? Have you actually seen it back? Do you think it is a foul?
Yeah. I think he's got his arm on him. I don't think you can deny that he's got his arm on him. I'm not going to come here and be naive and stupid and say, no, he's not touched him. I think he's got his arm on him. But like I said, in the same breath, if the goalkeeper's coming to try and catch a cross, we're trying to affect that. We don't want the goalkeeper to come and catch the ball and, you know, finish our attack. And that's why I said, you know, he's coming out of his 6-yard box. He's got to expect we've got to expect some contact for everyone, because that's the whole point of a corner. That's the whole point of, you know, physical Premier League. So it's just where's the line, where's the bar, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's the West Ham captain, who you know very well, Jared Bowen. What do you make of the way he spoke?
I think he speaks really well. I think he was honest. You know, you can see that there's a bit of emotion going through him, but he wanted to be fair. And I think the way he explained it is exactly how I probably seen it. You know, David Raya is coming out to try and claim the ball, to take the pressure off his team. He's got a bit of contact in with him. As I said, you know, they're lads. You know, I can see Declan in that video piece what we shown, and he's got hold of his man, and that's what he was talking about. You know, Arsenal have been the best at it for the last couple of seasons in terms of how they block, what they do, getting in and around the keeper, stopping the keeper from coming. So if you look back on all the goals that they've scored, I'm sure then that we'll see that there's probably quite a few which were like that this evening. So they'll just feel hard done by, and I think because they've done the wrong end of the decision today, and now what they've got to do is pick themselves up, and they've got to go and win the next 2 games and hope that the others around them Tottenham slip up now.
That is the big moment. Let's look at the other huge ones, because talking to goalkeepers, David Raya at 0-0, Theo. I mean, this is going to go down as an iconic Premier League save if Arsenal go on and win the league.
I mean, not just that, it should build a statue if they win the Premier League as well. I mean, incredible. He made a great save in the first half, but this one is just arguably the best save of the season. You know, just to have that composure, not to go down too early, and, you know, Fernandes will be disappointed, of course. However, you just got to admire the fact he saved with his foot, near post. Incredible, because you've got to stay strong in those moments, like I say, when he doesn't have much to do. and he could have come out and rash decision. However, he just held his ground. And it's incredible foot. You can just see it here. Incredible. Could have gone down early, but it's an amazing save. He's been incredible all year, and arguably maybe player of the season. I think that save now says it all.
I thought that Fernandes was excellent for West Ham in midfield today, and he's been brilliant all season long since he come from Southampton. I was just expecting him to lift it there. That's where you sort of expecting. You'll know more as well, mate. Is that? But what an incredible save, and he's done that all season long, hasn't he, Ryan? As you just said.
I mean, Mikel Arteta made some huge calls today in terms of substitutions, but when he brought Zubimendi off, who he brought on, and Ødegaard and Havertz on, you thought that was significant at the time.
I said to Theo there, I said he's going to take Zubimendi off. Do you know what? And it was the right call because he just got a bit more firepower on the pitch. And Ødegaard and Havertz combining here, great little run in behind. There was a little glimmer, great little block from Souček on the cutback, but I think they had far more control. And when you get these guys on the ball, Ødegaard more often not picks the right pass. They get in really good positions, and that's kind of really where it came from. I mean, it was a brave call from Arteta. I think initially probably the first sub bringing Zubimendi on was probably the wrong one. He adjusted at half time. Mosquera came on, but I think just bringing Ødegaard and Havertz on had a huge impact on the game.
I think as well, when you always see the players in the positions where you want Ødegaard to be, at times you felt like the fullback.
When we scored that goal, it was a lot of joy, but then we had to dig in at the end to not concede, and obviously with that penalty incident, with the goal, I mean, I was just happy that we won.
What a moment for him, Leandro Trossard, and what a time to score your first goal of the year.
Do you know what? I think he's such an important player, obviously, for this team. I think he's one of the calmest finishers. I think in this Arsenal team, Saka was quite quiet today. Gyökeres, didn't get many looks. Eze was quite quiet, got subbed off. But Trossard came up with the moment. You need somebody to step up, Steve. And I think Trossard, for whatever reason, he felt, I'm going to come inside. Maybe we've got more control. I'm going to come in. And what a big moment for him and for Arsenal.
Very quickly, one hand on the trophy, 1.5, or can you almost... No?
Definitely start partying soon, I'm pretty sure.
A significant day in the title race. My thanks to these three gentlemen here at the London Stadium. What a moment late on as well. But it went Arsenal's way. Another clean sheet, incidentally. And now they can reach out. They can touch it. They are 2 games away of ending a 22-year wait. From the four of us, we'll see you soon. Take care.